What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to talk about starting somewhere. And I mean, just like I've kind of preached from the beginning of this podcast, like sometimes you've just got to take that leap of faith. Really and truly, that's what this episode is about. Like, I think so many people let fear stop them from starting. Like, I know I made plenty of excuses before starting this podcast, and some valid and some not. But truth be told, it's eventually you get to a point where you just have to start. And no matter what it is, if you're unhappy or if there's something you want to pursue, start making your way out of it. Unless you give yourself a light at the end of the tunnel, unless you can see a way out, an end to the suffering, you're going to find it incredibly hard to bear with it. It's down to you to give yourself some hope. And you do that by taking action for you. By doing something that is going to change your life. Like, this podcast I started on a whim. Well, not on a whim, but when it come to actually like recording the episodes and that, I took the leap. I just thought, sod it. Why not? Just go for it. No time like the present. Because by the time 6 months has gone, I could have been 6 months into the podcast. And that's 6 months of exposure, 6 months of progress, 6 months of experience. And I like to say this, but I was right. Like, I'm not 6 months in yet, but I already find it quite ridiculous that I'm on episode 30 odd, and I feel like I only started yesterday. I know there's still so much work to be done in terms of the podcast, but it's an outlet for me. It's something I look forward to doing. It's something that keeps me, keeps me in like a regiment. Like, every Wednesday and every Sunday I'm posting regardless. Now I've got shorts going up on a daily basis on multiple social medias. Like, stop just from starting somewhere, just by clicking record on the camera in this room and starting the process. I gave myself an opportunity. And we all have that opportunity these days. We all have access to the internet. Or a lot of us do anyway, especially if you're in a first world country. You've got the access. Most people have a phone in their pocket, so you have the means. It's got a camera, it's got a microphone, it can do most things. If it's not something in social media you want to do, it's got the internet for stocks, for art, for writing, there's multiple ways you can experience life and explore life. But unless you start somewhere, it won't go nowhere. Now, like I said, I'm on like episode 30, and that may not seem like anything to people that have thousands of episodes of a successful podcast. But to me, that's something. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's 30 episodes of me talking nonsense online. Like, that's quite cool. It amuses me. But you can do the same. You just have to start somewhere. Like, unless you start, there'll never be anything. Unless Elon and Bezos and all of those guys, unless they started somewhere, they'd have never got to the end goal. But people idolize them for the end goal and forget the journey. Like, just start somewhere and go on your own journey. Stop fearing the failure or fearing not succeeding and falling short, or the shame or ridicule or whatever it is. Stop letting things stand in your way and start somewhere. No matter what you think is standing in your way, there's a thread that you can pull that will lead somewhere. No matter how big or how small it is, there is something you can do that will start you on the path to your own journey. And I think that's what we should all pursue. Like, realistically, if we weren't all tied into our jobs because of cost of living and just trying to maintain a decent quality of life for the most part, how many people would want to explore their own dreams and passions and figure themselves out? And then how much would that change them as a person? How much would traveling for somebody that's never left the country change their view on the world? How much would seeing art and culture of other countries open the minds of so many? Like seeing different forms of language, different forms of expression, dance, art, music, like whatever it may be, broadening your horizons is never going to be a negative. Not in my opinion anyway. So if you put in the effort and you start somewhere, eventually you can pursue that. But unfortunately these days, I think it's, again, I don't know how true this is, so I don't like quote, and this is why I don't like quoting statistics. But things stick in my head. And I see something the other day that basically said 85% of careers these days do not give you enough income to meet the criteria of freedom that most people would consider, i.e. go on holidays or travel where you want, not worry about money, pay your bills without thinking about it, be able to go shopping or do nice things here and there. Like 85% of the jobs ain't going to get you there. And I've worked in multiple companies, and most of them, the bigger the company, the worse the individual gets treated, because it's more just cogs, it's numbers, it's all driven by profits and losses. And when you become a number and a statistic, you're dehumanized. And then when you're treated like that for the majority of life, no wonder you take that home and then your dreams are destroyed and you don't want to start anywhere. You're exhausted. But I'm telling you, even after all of that, you need to find the energy for you. You need to find the energy to start somewhere on your dreams, because no one else is going to start there for you. Nobody's going to say, cool, take a couple months off. Again, it might happen, but not anywhere that I've seen. Nobody's going to say, take a couple months off and just go figure you out. Go sort out what's going on with you. I mean, I had to use my holiday pay, like my holiday days and that, just to have time off when my daughter was born. And she was in intensive care and everything when she was first born and that. So there was every reason for me to be off. Yet the workplace still didn't grant me leave. So I suppose I've got a tainted view from my own experiences, but unless you're going to get out there and do it for you, I don't see anybody else pursuing your dreams. So it's down to you to start them. Start on the journey, no matter how small it is. If you want to do a little craft business, make a bracelet. Sell it to a friend for £2. Make another bracelet. Whatever it is. I had a joke about a basket weaving company with somebody. And it's, look, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're consistent and you do it enough and you believe in yourself and you do it with passion, eventually it will resonate with people. But people talk themselves out of it. They say, no, that's not me. I'm not the guy that succeeds. I'm not the girl that succeeds. I'm not this. I'm not that. Prove it. Who are you to say you're not the person unless you've been there and done it? Unless you've put yourself through it, unless you've given life your everything, and I mean your everything, who are you to say that you're not worth it? Who are you to say that you're not going to succeed? You ain't given everything to figure it out yet. So don't sell yourself up the river. Actually put in the effort and find out. Because I promise you now, you'll surprise yourself. Once you start and you stay disciplined and you keep going with it and you keep going with it, you'll only occasionally look back because you're so busy trying to keep up with the hustle and bustle that things just pass you by. And before you know it, you're on episode 30. Then you're on episode 100. Then you're on episode 1000. And then sky's the limit. But if you never start, you'll never get there. And that's all I've got to say for this one. The seed for this episode is start. That's it. Start. No matter how small it is, start. Do it constantly and stay disciplined. And I promise you in time, you'll have something big. All the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.